Good afternoon, everyone, and we welcome you back to the Bacchus Pro Gaming Series 2017 Summer Split. Drive your energy. I'll be your shoutcaster. I am Vulcan, and with me is Arctic, concluding the first match with a 1-1. That was actually one of the matches that I thought that was the impact of the start of the fourth week. I mean, we saw how Jensky fumbled in Game 1, but in Game 2, just completely dominated. That is just a message sent to everyone in all teams that you cannot be complacent.
Exactly. Whether you're at the top, at the bottom right now, you really have to look out for everybody performing right now, really stepping up. But of course, we'll just have to see how that transitions as we look at our schedule to see what matches we still have left for the day.
Yeah, with match 1 concluding with a 1-1 score between Infused Esports and Jensky Esports. Moving on to match 2, one of the big names, AEX, the ex-champions of the Spring Split against Asian Arena, one of the new teams entering the PGS in the Summer Split. We're in match 3. One, in my opinion, is going to be a very interesting match, showing that TME, Team Manila Eagles, with a clean slate so far, against TNC, who are fighting for the stuff for the playoffs. So, Arctic, how does it feel? I mean, TME already dominating it so far. Just looking at the standings, look at that, 10-0, 15 points, all sweeps.
That feels. I mean, if I were in TME shoes right now, I would be I feel pretty good about myself. But of course, looking at the bottom side of the spectrum, there's still a lot that could unfold. As Asian Arena, actually, with our matchup right now, looking to potentially climb.
Note that in the PGS, when you are at the bottom, the 8th place, you are auto-relegated. So Asian Arena will be fighting that they still stay in the game, but who knows, they do have some chance still staying in the PGS, but this match will determine it. But to our viewers out there, we still are running the share and win promo. What this is that we're gonna be showing you a hashtag code in the first match, the opening matches. So using that hashtag code, share it on your Facebook profile, timeline, make it public. Share it with that hashtag code, and also share the stream link. Let it be the Facebook Live or the gaming.youtube. You decide, and we will be picking 5 winners of mystery gifts. So what are you waiting for? Share the fun of the PGS, Philippines Premier League in League of Legends.
And speaking of fun, we also do have our PGS digital fan art contest. So of course, all you have to do is create digital art, not traditional, has to be digital. That consists of 1 player per team coming in from the PGS. So we have a total of 8 teams. Choose your favorite player, put them all into the same artwork. And of course, for more information, check out esports.garena.ph/PGS and look for the article.
And now, on to the second match of the PGS. AEX on the blue side against Asian Arena. On the red side, opening up their bands would be Rumble, Cannon, Jarvan, and Zach, Caitlyn, and Galio.
So there we go, AEX, very interesting thus far. And of course, do take note, for AEX, the starting players would be both Mirmo and Korosu. To sub in for Korosu, actually, new face to AEX. So actually, we'll be playing for both Gen V and Vanguard respectively, if I'm not mistaken.
And we did see Mirmo perform pretty godlike in terms of his positioning and free hit, but this time they have to bank on him against ACA. ACA so far, they had a struggle entering this Summer Split because, in my opinion, the level of competitiveness in the PGS has been raised ever since the Spring Splits. So entering right now in the Summer Split may be unforgivable for some new teams because of this tremendous raise in competitiveness.
And of course, let me just touch on the bans here real quick, because it's very interesting how both sides are going to look at AEX. They have heavy targets onto Boydie right here, the Rumble, the Cannon, and to an extent the Jarvan, which, well, it's more jungle oriented, I'd say, but we kind of flex the top sometimes. But nonetheless, of course, for the side of Asian Arena, just real quick, it's going to be Zach, Caitlyn, Galio, Thresh, and Blitzcrank. So focus on the Korosu as well. So it's interesting, actually, ACA, despite this being one of the few times we'll be seeing Korosu playing for AEX, actually quite aware of what champions he's capable of using. So Hook City is going to be banned out with the Thresh and the Blitzcrank right off the bat.
And respect bans towards Morataboy in his Tom Ken, so he will be picking up that Rakan. So this time, the second match, first game, AEX Acclaim Empire X versus Asian Arena. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, to be honest, before I even tackle into the compositions both sides have, this is very interesting because during one of the previous weekends, it was calculated going up against Acclaim Empire X, but this time it's gonna be who was formerly on AEX, but this time it's gonna be Mirmo, who was formerly part of Asian Arena before they qualified for PGS. So it's interesting if Asian Arena will be able to show that we're fine without you, Mirmo, or will Mirmo show that I don't need you guys?
Very, very spicy. That's just pure spiciness. So let's see. As Arctic says, Mirmo, the ex-ADC of Asian Arena, well, on AEX side they have lost their calculated. So let's see. Is Asian Arena better off without Mirmo? Let's see in this first game of the second match. Very interesting. I like that statement, Arctic. You just raised the bar in terms of excitement and spiciness in this game.
Oh yeah, this story is waiting to unfold. But I mean, what I really like about this at the same time is that, again, a quick review of what Asian Arena kind of went through as far as changes. So Jason was actually on their starter lineup. Well, the original Asian Arena was Jason in the top lane, Jungle Moraita Boy during his jungler days. And
we'll be actually seeing it all in works. I mean, all teams have been through their roster changes, especially one of the key teams would be TME, Team Manila Eagles. They have kind of really huge roster change, same as for IPT. And AEX, they did lose their crucial mid laner.
Yeah.
Here it is, guys. We are now live on the Rift. AEX on the blue side against Asian Arena ACA on the red side. Let's see how the first game of match 2 will be played out, with ACA still fighting strong even though they're at the bottom.
Yes, of course, wherever you're watching, whether it be Facebook or YouTube, let us know, ladies and gents, who you guys are rooting for. Of course, hashtag AEX win or hashtag ACA win. This is going to be very interesting because AEX looking to make sure that they secure their spot in the playoffs. They can't be too complacent just yet. And ACA as well, trying to make that climb out of that 8th spot.
You do not want to be in the 8th spot because, like I said, people who are the team actually of the PGS who are in the 8th spot get auto-relegated. The top 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th places will be making the playoffs, whereas 5, 6, 7 will be facing the promotion/relegations. So this is how PGS is very cutthroat in terms of competitiveness, and also how often you can stay as a status being a pro.
Yeah, and it's very interesting how both sides kind of have different priorities unfolding for them. Like we mentioned, AEX kind of wanting to secure their spot in the playoffs. ACA kind of wanting to get out of auto relegation. So it's kind of different, polar opposites of what teams kind of want to go for here. But of course, we'll just have to see if that does unfold. We have seen ACA perform during the split. They actually have quite a number of games wherein they could have potentially won. It's just that it really hasn't transitioned into victories because of minor to major mistakes, whether it be during clashes, miscoordination, miscommunications. So we'll just have to see if this is fixed now that we're going into week 4. Because we have seen teams like Genski Esports and Infuse Esports kind of correcting what mistakes that they've had in previous weeks. So hopefully we'll see the same trend coming in from ACA.
It is any team's dream to play on that glorious stage in Rampage and to represent the Philippines in Garena's Premier League, which is the GPL.
Yes.
This time 1 slot for GPL, but 2 for Worlds. Wouldn't anyone be going all out?
Oh man, if I were in their position, it would be an honor.
It's like this taste of Worlds very close to you.
Yeah.
It's like just a meter away, you would do your best.
Exactly. And I gotta say, for especially with the teams that we have right now, like I mentioned, everybody stepped it up. So any team that we send, I feel would make us proud regardless. But yeah, I mean, with TME at the top right now, they're looking to be one of the viable candidates, already securing their slot for Rampage. But anyways, going back into this game right here, I was kind of lost there for a moment. So both junglers actually kind of rotating towards polar opposite sides of the map. So whether or not this will actually transition into... Ooh, look at this poke though.
The standoff in the bot lane, Murmo and a Kalista. That's pretty refreshing to see instead of that godlike Caitlyn. But when it comes to rotations, leave it to Sanavla to be one of the ones to dictate the early phase of the gank because he is on that Elise. But when it comes to Tamsu, he is this type of player who likes to mirror the pathing or in terms of invade. After he invades, he tries to gank.
And you know what's interesting? I'm glad that you brought up the junglers because both Tamsu and Zenobla, now that I realize, they're kind of the more gutsier junglers that we have in the PGS right now. Tamsu kind of likes to go for these invades, and Zenobla as well. So I'm actually interested in seeing how this will transition, whether or not they'll stick to that same playstyles that they usually exhibit on the Rift, or maybe they'll make adjustments, realizing that they kind of mirror each other in terms of their habits. But it looks like we have a gank.
Tamsu just poking Bodhi down. He was in the red side of ACA, whereas Anavla making a slow approach onto the red side of AEX. This is how both of the junglers play, mirror-like, and when they counter, they immediately go for a gank straight in. But sadly, Sanavla misses that crucial cocoon.
Yeah, that's actually very tricky. Even though he lands that cocoon, that Sanguine pull regardless would have granted Awaken that opportunity. Probably the best thing that they could have gotten out of that is to get damage onto Awaken, but other than that, as far as translating into a kill, I don't think that would have been possible just yet.
That's just pure skepticism for them though. I mean, Tamsu, again, slowly approaching the bot lane of ACA. Nowhere it's placed, summoners are all up. You can see that Kurosu going in for the Frostbite stack.
Ooh.
One stack up, burning the flash of Luxuria, which is actually rewarding for AEX. But now Sanavla again mirroring Tamsu. I think they're like twins.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much twins.
Because again, how both junglers, their play styles is very similar to each other in a way.
This is just like who is the better jungler. But as you said at the opening statement of the game, you did point out that Murmu was the ex-ADC of Asian Arena. So this is sort of pride on the line instead of worlds on the line, Arctic.
And there we go. I mean, what I really like about this match here is that there's so much on the line for both sides. With AEX, they're kind of in this awkward position right now wherein because of that 2-0 that they unfortunately encountered with TME, it kind of sets them back a bit. I mean, it would have been beautiful if they were the team that ended that streak, but because of that 0-2, it kind of sets them back in the sense wherein they're not safe just yet. They want to secure every win possible in order to get either second, third, or hopefully it wouldn't be the case, transition down to fourth seeds. Although with the score that they have right now, I don't think that's really a thing unless they really fumble.
Any team who faces TME is unfortunate. Entering this summer split, strong as ever. But now in the second match, ACA really has to step up their game because this is AEX. You are facing the ex-champions of the previous spring split in the Rampage stage, so 2016 Rampage. So this is something that they have to take account to. This is an opponent they have to study, and I hope they did for their sake, because this might be their last chance.
Yeah, definitely. And especially with ACA, I can only imagine the hunger that they have right now. I mean, being in 8th, of course, isn't the best position. That being said, sometimes it could go both ways, wherein your mindset would, sure, you could feel disheartened, but then again, there's that strong resolve at the same time, wherein you don't want to be that 8th placer. So whether or not that'll transition into a win for AC, we'll just have to see if that's something that could happen for them.
More of vision control in terms of the bot lane. The junglers have yet to secure a first blood for their team, whereas Echo just spying around the jungler of AEX. Whereas for ACA, Sanavla, he did miss that crucial cocoon, and now that he does have his flash, this can go for any aggressive ganks, but since this is the fourth week of PGS, you do not want to be reckless.
Definitely. And looking at the itemization here, I like the fact that Awaken went for the Storm Shield on Vladimir because it grants him so much more sustain that he already has, considering that he is running a Vladimir. That being said, like I did mention, it's going to be so hard if Xenavla tries to push for ganks here in this bot lane, because the only thing they could probably get out of Awaken is a Summoner spell if they are lucky. That Sanguine Pool is such a great asset when you're in that laning phase, because it just denies so much gank, not necessarily gank potential, but kills that could come off from a gank from the enemy.
Yeah, so Xenavla's option to gank gets narrowed down to top or to bot, and the travel distance is just huge. So not to mention also for Tamsu, I mean, if he does go all in onto Anivia, where he has that passive, that would just be a complete denial of his kill. So that's something that Tamsu has to take account for. So far in the mid lane, I think options for gank is outside the window.
And for ACA right now, because Aiko, like I mentioned, I've followed ACA quite a lot during their days in the Piltover's Finest series. Anivia is one of Aiko's pocket picks, which actually works quite well for ACA. That being said, because if you're going to look at previous games, Aiko has run this Anivia. So, and other teams, they tend to ban it actually. There have been some bans on Aiko's Anivia. So now that that's through, and now that ACA is actually going to be utilizing Aiko on this Anivia, I'm pretty interested in seeing whether or not this will work out for them, whether this will actually transition them into a win, because they really need every single win that they can get at this point.
So I hope that pocket pick of Aiko will bring ACA to one win. At least, maybe if they do make a clean sweep against AEX, they will be safe.
So yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see how that transitions later for them, though. I mean, into this matchup, I really feel that ACA has a chance because looking at the history that AEX has thus far in the PGS, well, for this split particularly, there have been some great moments for them, but there also has been a few misses, and especially with Vanguard not playing for this game, I'm actually interested in seeing whether or not this this quick switch up, because I actually wasn't anticipating that, but looks like we will be heading back into the game. No casualties just yet.
No first blood yet in the 9-minute mark. This is something you expect in a high caliber game play from both teams who are entering this PGS as one of the pros. So expect that they will be playing the farm-based game where they just wait it out, wait for their spikes, and if they see an opportunity or mistake, they go for it.
There you go. But yeah, I mean, looking at everything that's going on across the board, I like how it's pretty even, I'd say, right now. Sure, there are other sides wherein someone's up in C, yes, but overall, considering that this is Xenavla and Tamsu that we're talking about, it's interesting how silent both sides are. We have been seeing small attempts at ganks, but nothing really transitioning into anything big just yet. So now that everybody's at level 6, I'm expecting that maybe we'll see something, even just that small skirmish. But other than that, I'm actually surprised that we haven't seen anything just yet.
Because we will be waiting out for spikes. Right now, I gotta say, the way the game is being played out is very safe in a way that when it comes to farm-based, I think for AEX composition, works out pretty well. They are on a Callista and a Braum. That's deadly right there. Just from that composition, Callista and Braum, that's a free stun onto Callista. So if AEX extends the game very long enough, Awaken on that Vladimir will scale off like crazy, like godlike.
And not to mention the fact that this is Mirmo that we're talking about here, who performed absolutely amazing on this Callista during his monumental birthday game, wherein he just went above and beyond. So, well, maybe we'll...
Goes in for a flash and knock off, same as Xenavla, goes in for a flash and stun! That's what you do when you want the first blood!
Man, ACA, great coordination there. Didn't really give Awaken that chance to even flash out. I love how they layered that perfectly, not granting Awaken that small window of opportunity to just even flash out, because that one flash out could have potentially deterred ACA from getting that first blood. But great job.
Overkill, in my opinion, but when you are against AEX, especially Awaken, using 2 flashes is pretty much worth it. And now giving a first blood to Senavla, which is okay, but I think that Eiko would have used it much better.
And I gotta hand it to them because, like I have been saying, Vladimir is one of those champions which is very hard to gank because of that Sanguine Pool. And of course, not to mention, once that Sanguine Pool is done, he also has that flash to boot. So the fact that they pulled off that gank, that 3-man gank on Vladimir,
Very
almost
clean.
under turret, not to mention, very clean indeed. That's the best way to put it. So hopefully this will be a great, hopefully this first blood for ACA would grant them that mindset to just push it further and transitioning into hopefully what will be a win for them.
Look how AEX's bot lane is playing out. I really love the duo between Braum and Kalista. I think they fit each other so well. Kalista has that ultimate to recall the Soulbind target, a free knockup, plus another knockup with the Glacial Fissure. That's just scary. And ACA, bottom lane, which is just Rakan and Varus, I don't think they're gonna do well against that type of CC lockdown coming from the Braum's passive.
Yeah, I mean, this Rakan definitely has, well, in a way, yeah.
Oh, look at that. Sinavla. 2 wards already in the side of AEX.
Ooh, will be caught out though.
There is a control ward. He does get spotted out, but pretty close call for Townsend. This is what I like about this both junglers.
They're so gutsy.
They're so gutsy, and they always rely on their guts. And when you rely on your guts, you tend to feed. You tend to feed. Well, that's just me. But when I see pro players use their guts, it's like they're psychic. They see like a minute ahead. Whereas when I have a gut feeling, I see a minute behind.
I feel for you, man. I definitely feel for you. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly why it's these type of skills, that type of foresight that really shows.
It really separates you from the pros and the amateurs.
You know, we could only hope to develop the type of my skill set. But yeah, I mean, for Tamsu and Zenavla, again, this is very classic. Zenavla, Tamsu kind of overextending their boundaries a bit, making these very gutsy, almost risky in small invades. But look, there we go. So Zenavla and Tamsu.
Just saying hello, but when it comes to invasion and farming, I think I gotta hand it to Tamsu for that 82 CS compared to 56 against Zenavla.
Yeah, that the saving grace for Zenavla is that he did get that kill. But yeah,
400.
again, at the same time, let's say there is that unfortunate scenario where Zenavla doesn't get the kill. So that definitely puts him in an awkward position because Tamsu, knowing that he's just kind of waiting this out, trying to get as much power farm as he can so that eventually he outplays Zenavla going into potential smaller skirmishes to even bigger clashes.
Yes, and this is ACA's last, I gotta say, they're in a really bad spot in this matchup because they have to step up and they have to show to Philippines that the entire country that they belong in the PGS.
Yeah, definitely, because I gotta hand it to AC. That first blood maneuver was absolutely impeccable. But that being said, what I do want to see from AC going into the mid to later parts of the game is that even without having to exhaust so many resources, they could still pull off kills against AEX, especially going into the 5v5 clashes, because that's something I'm yet to see.
We're gonna be seeing, a blind stun by Eiko gets Tamsu off guard. There comes the Stan United. He's still sticking to Eiko. Eiko flashes out. Murmo is there for the calling back. Here comes Kurosu. He does not ult yet, does not have enough mana, but Eiko is on egg form. Morita Boy is very low. It will be awakening, securing the kill, and another execution by Murmo. Zenavla will be swimming with the fishes with a triple.
Oh man, that's not good for AC at all, but
Ooh,
for Mirmo,
4-0.
Exactly, 4-0. Not to mention, that just gave Mirmo all the advantages in the world. 3-0-1 now for this Kalista.
Yeah,
That kind of voids out the first point that ACA had.
3-0-1 on the Kalista. That's an instant port, and this might be the first turret. Like, it's 50 minutes in, the fortification buff is gone, but we are going to be seeing a teleport by Boydie to deny the first turret. Will it work out to you?
But yeah, I mean,
Goes in for the flash stun. There is a teleport coming in. Boydie overcommits. He gets stunned by the Braum's passive. There's a heal burn by Murmo. Murmo is on a rampage.
Yautza, that's definitely not good. Although, I gotta hand it good on Cannon for actually going for the response. good timing actually, because
Yikes.
had that teleport not come in, like if that teleport was kind of a few seconds later, that actually could have spelled a casualty or two for AEX. But let's go ahead and check out what happened here in that dragon fight. So technically you'd think that ACA would win this because they actually had the numbers to their advantage, but look at Awaken here, so much gutsiness, so much damage. Sanguine Pools actually juggles in 3 members of ACA, so this just causes so many problems for AC at this point, and particularly they had that initial advantage. It's just that because they were kind of focused on this dragon a bit, it just allowed AEX to just reverse things.
I love how Awaken has just stepped up his game, really filling the shoes that AEX needs with a really nice Vladimir gameplay and also the burst and the sustain.
Wow. I mean, at this point, we could look at the CS for the AD carries as even, but I mean, what is an equal CS if the KDAs in itself is absolutely amazing? And
Corruption onto Awaken, he does get knocked back, stepping away, gets blocked by the Crystallize, but here comes Tansu, he catches the stun blindly! So Nabla's very low, he cocoons away with Luxuria, finishing off Awaken. And Boy D gets another Candy Crush by Mirmo.
But yeah, it definitely grants Mirmo yet another kill. Still at 100% kill.
No, every time I see that Kalista and Braum together, but wait, Tamsu.
Very tricky.
Just really stepping away from that fight with ACA, getting their first turret of the game. Sadly, it's not the first turret, but at least they will catch up in the gold.
I'm loving how ACA is utilizing their coordination when going for flank. Ooh, but
Morida Boy gets caught by Cannon. That's a lot of damage coming from the Titanic Hydra.
Will be able to escape though. But yeah, as I was saying, I like how ACA is really playing to their strengths here. One thing that I really like about them as a team is their coordination in a way to make up for some of the missteps that they have going into 5v5s. When they're proactive in making plays themselves, as we have seen, they usually get the kill. So hopefully they could continue to capitalize on these small victories. It's kind of similar to what we've seen from Jenksky versus Infused earlier, when they slowly capitalize on small victories. It's just that the difference here is that ACA is actually at the disadvantage right now.
Oh, the Rift Herald in the hands of AEX. That's something that you have to be wary of. We did see AEX, one of the first teams to actually use it properly, but this time, will they use it correctly? With the Mountain Train being left really soon, ACA has to come back from that really bad clash at the bot lane. That small clash there was huge for ACA because this is they're in the last place and they're in the 4th week. They're on their edge.
Exactly, and like I mentioned, they can't continue to rely on just simply going for those proactive coordinated fights unless it's something where they could hugely benefit. But if it results to just 1 kill, it'll slow them down a bit as far as getting back into this game. Sure, these small victories you could capitalize on, but when you're up against a team like AEX, which is generally very coordinated, very strategic as to how they play out these 5v5s, ACA might actually lose out on those windows of opportunity for those small comebacks.
I hope so for ACA's sake that they do not give those small opportunities for AEX, because this is something that they have to fight for. When you enter the PGS, expect that you will... When you're a new team, it's actually very punishing, in my opinion, that when you're entering the PGS, because you're facing up teams who had this experience, the struggle that ACA is facing. I'm pretty sure all the teams that made it this far, the veterans, have faced so far. But Tamsu really overstepping his boundaries, gets a lot of damage soaked up by him. But here comes Kurosu and Murmo for the assist. Glacier Fisher for a 3-man knockup, but no follow-up because Cannon's Stan United didn't channel through. I mean, Tamsu just died, plain sight.
Man, Tamsu definitely needs to show a little bit more respect for ACA, especially transitioning into that mid-game. Sure, AEX definitely has that lead right now, but not to the extent wherein they could just really go full ham into the territory of ACA.
Look at them. ACA, 4-man push into the mid lane inner turret. Teleport coming in. Cannon, though, cancels it because he just wants to scare the members of ACA away. He refunds that 100-second cooldown.
Definitely, and this does prevent any further aggression that ACA could exert. But, I mean, yeah, look at this, though. Cannon's actually pushing out here on top, and nobody from ACA actually making the move to respond just yet.
Oh, that's a pretty close call for Kurosu. Should not catch that stun by Sanavla. If oh, a flash by Sanavla. He did not want to see meets eye with Tamsu, but here comes maybe a choke point for ACA, but AEX backs away.
Yeah, definitely they need to show a little bit. But yeah, I mean, ACA at the same time definitely doing a great job at trying to keep members of AEX at bay. I really like the restraint, that pullback in a way, although that was a proactive move by AEX to prevent any further pushes from ACA. So overall, I'd say that it's still anybody's game. It's just that ACA has a lot more groundwork that a lot more ground that they need to cover in order to get back, because still it's very much in AEX's favor. And we have seen that although Tamsu did die earlier. Oh, there we go. We'll just have to see if this Rift Arrow, like you did mention, is going to be the most optimal use.
Let's see. Boydie has to teleport, but Cannon is pressuring the top lane. Rift Arrow just chunked that huge HP off that turret. Let's see. Martha Boy going for the eye. That would just be a chunk down in health because 4 members were there. These, however, still took down a lot of HP from that inner turret.
Yeah, and even though AEX wasn't able to take that turret right off the bat, I gotta hand it to Eiko there with that wall. It wasn't necessarily to block up Rift Arrow, because Rift Arrow could easily skip over that if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's just that that wall actually zoned the rest of AEX from following suit to Rift Arrow to take down that turret right away.
Smart moves by ACA for that standoff. I hope that they still make this good decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I really like how AC is playing this out a little bit more safer, because they are in a position wherein they're up against the wall. Not necessarily a huge lead just yet for AEX, but ACA definitely showing the respect in a sense wherein they don't want to suffer any more casualties to allow AEX that avenue to further that lead that they have.
But the lead that AEX has is kinda huge for Mermu. 501 on a Kalista with a Blade of the Rune King and a Runaan's. That's pretty much lock-in for a Kalista. When a Kalista has the Runaan's Hurricane, expect a lot of damage.
Yeah, and the tricky part here is that even if you focus Mirmo in a sense, you still have other threats such as Awaken. And we have seen earlier, even though Awaken might be 1, 2, and 3, not exactly the same KDA as, not exactly the stellar KDA that Mirmo has, but that being said, that is a Vladimir, and we have seen the damage that he was exerting earlier during one of those smaller skirmishes towards the dragon side. So there's definitely a lot that AC has to work around here in order to sway things back into their favor, or not necessarily even sway things, but just get back on equal ground with AEX.
But for Awaken, as you mentioned, I don't think he's going to be falling off anytime soon. He will keep scaling. He is on that Vladimir, and when a Vladimir reaches the late game, that's just bad news. Cannon flashes away from the knockoff, so that's one summoner down. We see that Kurosu and Mermu is going to be joining him in the top side, whereas Awaken is still going to be pressuring the bot side. The bot side turret is pretty low, whereas Eiko might respond to it, but let's see if he will be able to defend it.
Oh man, this will be tricky though. AEX might actually want to set things up, and Eiko though still far
No
out.
wards placed by AEX. They are entering enemy territory.
And not to mention, Eiko doesn't have his teleport up just yet, but looks like he may potentially be walking now, knowing that the Baron has started.
AEX starting the Baron, just to bait them out, lure your prey in the pit. Then when they're in the pit, you just kill them right there. If AEX actually starts the Baron pit fight, I think they will win because they have Mermu, 501, and a Braum.
And not to mention the fact that Cannon actually transitioned to the top side, and because of that lure at the Baron side, it actually forced Eiko to stop preventing Awaken from pushing and try to transition to that Baron side in case their forethought transcended to them thinking that AEX was going to go for that Baron. So actually good mind games being played by AEX
Bait
here.
the baiter. So that's going to be more mind games, but I don't think AEX is going on a date, so they do not want any mind games. They know what they want, whereas ACA is trying to make the moves onto AEX. AEX playing hard to get.
Yeah, and at the same time, if I were Moraita Boy in this case, I'd find it very tricky for him because, as we have seen, it's kind of hard to find a good setup when you're up against these type of champions. Like you mentioned, the Kalista and the Brahma itself is such a huge hold. It's such a signature, very textbook combo that you have here to get those stunts off right off the bat. Plus the fact that you have such a threat in the form of a Vladimir in frontlining for AX, so it's so hard. I mean, let's say, sure, even though let's say the opportunity does arise where Morita could get into the backline, get some charm onto Mirmo, it's so tricky for the rest of ACA to get that follow-up on.
Yeah, and for ACA to actually get some lead back into the game, they need that. If they're denied of that resource, that's bad news. Cannon escapes with the Stand United. Very decisive move instead of a teleport. So now the bot lane will be on siege. Whereas in the jungle side, we can see the AEX is trying to make it their own.
And what's interesting here is that if we're going to look at the map, ACA is forced into this more responsive defensive role. And there we go, AEX actually lingering towards this Baron side once again. So I really like how they're just kind of one step ahead, forcing ACA into these maneuvers which they pre-calculate.
This is something that ACA is playing very slowly, which is actually good. Ramp it up just a bit when they feel comfortable. Like, they have to get the small objectives can mean something in the long run, like terms of objectives or score count, but leave it to AEX. They have the mid lane inner turret. Now maybe the out inhibitor turret might be in danger. Two members are still in the top lane trying to finish off Tamsu. Tamsu flashes away and leaps to safety. He is out of the danger zone.
Yeah, definitely survives yet another day for the meantime. But overall, it doesn't really deter AEX from lead. I like how they're kind of, although it does seem that ACA is holding them off, but in a way, I feel like it's actually AEX that's being a little bit more proactive into, even though it's just very equal, AEX just kind of forcing ACA into these positions where they just have to continue to respond to whatever aggressive plays, I mean, not say aggressive, but proactive plays that AEX makes, whether it be pushes or pressuring onto the dragon by establishing visions themselves. And as you can see, let's say once AEX is actually pushing lane, it gets them into a position wherein they have to respond to these tower pushes. Or once AEX actually transitions to Baron, we have seen Eiko coming in way from the bot lane, walks all the way down to the Baron because of that threat that AEX continues to pose.
What we thought were a game where the junglers would dictate it, it's not the case this time. It's where the laners are really pushing very hard. The junglers is just there for a precaution, whereas I gotta say the bot lane has really been playing it so... That's not really great, but in ways that they are just fending off the advances of Luxuria and Morita Boy. In terms of KDA, of course, let's say Mermo has the most gold, the most kills compared to Luxuria. But that only happened because of the collapse in the bot lane. If the laning phase just happened to AC's favor, I think Luxuria would have caught up in terms of gold.
Yeah, but speaking of gold, it's still very stagnant in the sense 6,000 to 7,000 still in favor of AEX. But because there has been a sense of passiveness, it's just AEX trying to force objectives, trying to force towers. It's actually been, again, I guess that's the word for it. It's been stagnant for both sides. ACA doing well to defend, respond, but AEX in themselves, they haven't really pushed anything in. Although they have gotten these inner turrets, maybe they're just slowly choking down ACA, but that's something yet to be seen once we hit these clashes later.
When it comes to gold, as you said, I think it's all on to Mermo. He does have the majority of the gold. He does have almost all the kills.
Oh.
On the jungle side, Tamzu spots Zenobla. Zenobla flashes away. Mermo calls in that prompt for the glacial fissure knockups. Zenobla can't escape, gets taken down. There is the redemption. Kana picks up the kill. That's two members of ACA down, while AEX still fresh, very healthy, straight from the base.
Oh yes, and they could easily go for this Baron if they do desire to do so, because Zenobla is down. That does relieve the threat of potential smite steals for ACA, and I don't think ACA could contest this in a way, because those are 5 members of AEX still alive and kicking.
Just watch me take this Baron, says AEX towards ACA. But with 3 members, they are calling for a miracle. They're still going in. There is the flash in by Morita Boy onto Tamsu. Tamsu leaps away with Mermo just free hitting, stacking up that Kalista, and that would be a pure murder scene by AEX, calling the police.
Oh man, calling the police indeed, and AEX does redivert their attention to this Baron. Zenobla is alive though I don't think he'll make it in time, because AEX, the damage is real. They are taking this Baron so fast.
Oh. However, Tamsu did get executed. Boydie just played that role as to be this fly, just going around, just being a nuisance. But Tamsu's down. Okay, let's say Tamsu gets executed, but that's not a huge setback.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go ahead and check out what happened here in the clash. So, AEX actually reversing things right away. ACA trying to contest, but it's just that with the lead that AEX has right now, there's really not much they could do. Plus the fact that they were missing out on some crucial damage in a way, and the Kun in itself from Elise also works well because if you're gonna look at the composition that AEX has, they actually have some great CC. It's just that for each member that you lose, it kind of weakens that resolve, weakens that potential to really turn things.
When it comes to KDA with Gumermo, 100% kill participation, whereas Kurosu, great job on that Braum, 019. But for ECA, they have to catch up. Moritaboy did try his best in the Baron, but he tried to make it work, trying to deny the Baron, delay it. But you have to take account to Murmo and that Braum. That is such a good combo, and that combo will not be easily broken down. Kurosu has the Storm Surger. He has that Relic Shield and enhanced to the Sightstone. That's going to be huge. He has that passive from that reward. So Kurosu will be this huge Titan for Murmo. He will block off majority of the damage.
And that being said, that Baron contest was actually quite weird for ACA, but ooh, Moritaboy.
Moritaboy going for a very aggressive knockoff, fails, goes back to Zenavla.
Yeah, but that was such a weird contest for me in a way because he already lost out on Zenavla, plus Luxuria as well. So the chance to turn things around for
Awaken going in for a flash in. There is a Proto proc. He does pop his ghost and goes in for a first kill onto Eiko. And a tower dive by Tamsa will secure a kill. Awaken goes in, aiming for Luxuria. He has no one to protect to. And I think that's just pure murder. Boydi's left there just to watch his friends die. And I think the inhibitor is exposed. It will be taken down while Boydi is left to pick up the corpses of his fallen teammates.
Oh man, AEX.
I think Boydi should pick up a shovel. I think I saw a murder scene here. A slaughterhouse by AEX.
Yeah, and
the pride of Iloilo.
Man, and looks like they actually smell Boydi instead.
Oh god. Boydi just brought his shovel, but he didn't bring a wheelbarrow. He has to go back. I think AEX will send him to heaven.
Oh.
He gets taken out for an ace. That's just bullying right there.
Yeah, I mean, and look at the gold difference here. We're talking almost, that's 13,000 actually. So, man, this is actually very tricky for AC at this point. Whatever windows of opportunity that AZA had to get back into this game, they kind of lost it at this point. And again, with the Baron on AX's side and so much pressure being exerted, it's just so tricky for AC at this point.
Right now, ACA, it's rainy season. They have to pick up their boots because every time they enter a fight, there's always going to be blood. And that blood would be dishing out by Awaken. I mean, Awaken itself, he has the Pro Bell. Okay, he procs it, he flashes in, but that's not the end story. He has that ghost. And that ghost is just scary. He's this heat-seeking missile that when he explodes in, he leaves this blood. And that blood is just going to melt the members of ACA.
And speaking of the members right here, because as far as what I'm seeing here, it's quite hard to find a winnable opportunity to come back when you're looking at it from ACA standpoint. Towers, dragons, gold, even CS to an extent, all across the board in favor of AEX. The small advantage, I mean, the small victory that they do have, perhaps maybe is Luxuria being a few CS up on Mirmo, but that doesn't really count or amount to anything as far as ACA getting back into this game. And ACA just continue to be forced into these responsive stance here.
Tamsu just dodges a bullet. The Chain of Corruption does miss, so that's one ultimate down for ACA. Whereas AEX has three Mountain Breaks. I don't think that turn's gonna last. Boydi trying to make a way in. Zenavla trying to find his opening, but it would be Boydi engaging with the explosive cast, does not connect to any members. Mirmo calling into Kurosu. He goes in for the Glacial Fissure, knocking up two members. Luxurian Eiko at the backside with Mirmo cleansing out of it. He flashes into the base of ACA, just mowing them down. And I think Mirmo is going to be collecting some souls tonight with Zenavla. Does not have mana in spider form. And now, 4 members of ACA down yet again. Tamsu trying to go in for the secure, but it'll be Mirmo getting that clean ace. The better insect is Tamsu.
Oh man,
the better bug. And I think that's game set, guys, with AEX. showing how it's done. The ex-champions of the Rampage 2016, cleaning up game 1 of our second match.
Wow. Really great on AEX right there. Really showing up and showing why they were the champs of the previous Rampage. But then again, we can't really put that into account because if you're going to compare AEX to what they are right now, it's a totally different roster. But still, despite those roster changes, still they're showing that they are a force to be reckoned with in the PGS.
So I think, guys, you have it. There was AEX with a tremendous victory. 3 Mountain Drakes. That's just enough for any team to really be fearful for their Nexus. But AEX showing no mercy, just murdered ACA in this first game. So here are the end game stats. Murmur with 0 deaths, 8-0-10. That is just scary. This just goes to show how Murmur is capable of dealing that damage and feeling in the shoes of AEX.
Look at the damage indeed.
Almost neck and neck with Awaken, whereas Asian Arena, they lack that damage. Aiko on that Anivia is such a late game damage healer, and I don't think he had the resources for him to actually build properly.
Yeah, and that being said, going into the next game, ACA may definitely need to rethink their strategy overall because what in all fairness to ACA, sure, AEX performed absolutely stellar in that game, but ACA did have their small highlight moments in a sense where they were proactive early game. So hopefully going into the second game, they try to focus around that type of strategy wherein they go for champions which could pop off earlier on to complement that synergy that they have, because they actually did perform really well, I'd say. It's just that going into the mid game, it was very stagnant. It didn't really give them that much chance of opportunity because AX already had that heavy lead. ACA didn't really have that proactivity to sway things back into equal ground.
Okay, with that being said, I hope with everything that's coming to game 1, let's hope that ACA will fight back strong in game 2 of the second match. You just witnessed the Bacchus Pro Gaming Series 2017 Summer Split. Drive your energy after a short break. I'm Vulcan, and with me is Arctic. We'll see you for game 2 after the short break. Murmur is there for the calling back. Here comes Kurosu. He does not ult yet, does not have enough mana, but Eiko is on egg form. Morita Boy is very low. It will be Awakening, securing the kill, and another execution by Murmur. Zenavla will be swimming with the bitches with a triple.
Oh man, that's not
a miracle. They're still going in. There is the flash in by Morita Boy on the Damsel. Damsel leads away with Murmur just free hitting, stacking up that Callista, and that would be a pure murder scene by AEX, calling the police. Going in for a flash in. There is the Proto Proc. He does pop his ghost and goes in for a first kill onto Eiko. And a tower dive by Tamza will secure a kill. Awakening goes in, aiming for Luxuria. He has no one to protect to. And I think that's just pure murder. Boydie's left there just to watch his friends die. Way in. Navla trying to find his opening, but Boydie engaging with an explosive cast does not connect to any members. Murmur calling into Kurosu. He goes in for the Glacier Fissure, knocking up 2 members. The Jury and Eiko on the backside with Murmur cleansing out of it. He flashes into the base of ACA, just mowing them down. And I think Murmur is going to be collecting some souls tonight with Sanavla. Does not have mana in spider form. And that's being said, guys, with AEX showing how it's done. The ex-champions of the Rampage 2016, cleaning up game 1 of our second match.
Wow. Really great